From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Sulaiman Alede.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, 20-hour rainfall leaves over 300 houses destroyed in Kaduna. Nimet warns that more flooding looms in some other states. President Jonathan says Nigeria is winning the fight against terrorism, gives assurance of a resolution on the ongoing strike by university lecturers. Our big story tonight examines the power sector privatization and its challenges as the new players in the industry prepare to take over operations. And Syria's President Bashar al-Assad confirms chemical weapons will be placed under international control.
On business news tonight, the Naira weakens further owing to strong dollar demand.
And on sports news tonight, in spite of a quick succession of victories, Nigeria's Super Eagles fall in the monthly rankings released by FIFA.
Prediction by Nimet is already a reality as no fewer than 300 houses, farmlands and household properties worth millions of naira have been destroyed following rainfall which lasted for over 20 hours in Kaduna yesterday. Our correspondent who went round the affected areas reports that over 50,000 people, especially women and children, have been displaced by the flood. The areas mostly hit at the Goningora Abubakar Kigo Road, New Extension, Angwaromi, Angwarimi and Bernawa areas of Kaduna Metropolis.
A pitiable situation for these people who have been left in the cold in counting their losses. The disaster resulting from 20 hours of rainfall took them by surprise, and now they are homeless and don't know where to go from here. At Goningora, the worst affected area, many buildings collapsed due to the pressure of the flood. Those affected are now trying to rescue what is left of their property, pending when the flood will recede. They blame the abandoned bridge being constructed by the state government for the flooding, saying that this is the first time they are witnessing such a disaster.
Government awarded a contract of a short road within this Goningora. The contractor came and he destroyed the bridge there, heap sand there. They didn't do anything about it.
Right from the river there, he just come because before 30 minutes, the water just come and overflowed in my house, Gabada.
Although the state government had earlier issued a warning asking those living close to the river to leave the area, residents told Channels Television that they have lived in the area for many decades and wondered where government want them to go when it has not provided them with alternative.
My house here to the upper side, nobody carry any pin of their materials. And that is painful that government has seen people, what they are announcing, leave that area to where?
The State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, says plans are underway to provide temporary accommodation for those affected. He, however, appealed to those still living within the riverbanks to have a rethink.
It's so devastating and we quite sympathize with them. We went around and conduct the assessment and we will write our report to His Excellency and see what he can do to assist these affected people. Where you have built your house, you're supposed to know that this is a water channel, a waterway, a river banks. You are not supposed to build on those areas.
Kaduna was among the states severely affected by the 2012 flood disaster. And with the prediction of more rains to come in the coming weeks, it is feared that more people are likely to be displaced unless urgent steps are taken to evacuate those still living in flood-prone areas.
Now, there may have been some respite from this year's rainfall as a result of the August break, But the Nigerian Meteorological Agency has warned residents of Bauchi, Gombe and Plateau State, specifically Jos and Kaduna States, to prepare for possible flooding as the rain continues in September. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, the Director General of the NIMET, Dr. Anthony Anuforum, said the mentioned areas are already saturated and any heavy rain could result in flooding. The NIMET DG announced that the agency has achieved 75% of its 2013 seasonal rainfall prediction, but warned residents in other states to be watchful of excess rainfall in September.
Flooding, ladies and gentlemen, is it's usual to occur. But what is worrisome is if it occurs at such a large scale, and those large scale, many a time will be due to people doing the wrong thing in terms of the environment. We may have another peak within September, so we should still be very, very watchful in terms of excess rainfall. The other outlook we want to highlight for September is that Bauchi, Gombe, Jos, Kaduna area are already saturated. The soils in those areas are already saturated. And what that means is that any heavy rain may lead to high runoff and therefore may result to flooding.
I can, with all humility and thanksgiving to God, say that we are winning the war against terrorism. End of quote. Now, the president made this declaration today in Yenagoa, the Bayelsa State capital, where he attended the official opening of the Standing Committee of the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion. While promising to ensure that Nigeria remains one entity, the president also pointed out that his administration is doing all it can to end the industrial action by university lecturers. On his part, Governor Seriake Dixon commended Nigerians for their prayers and support for the president, urging them to continue as the nation is in trying times.
The convoy of the president arriving for the opening of the Standing Committee of the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion and the unveiling of the Anglican Cable Network of Nigeria.
I do this to the honor and glory of God. Amen. To the federal government.
The primate of the Church of Nigeria, Most Reverend Nicholas Soko, while reeling out the achievements of the present administration, urged the president to find a lasting solution to the ongoing ASUU strike.
The federal government should do everything possible to agree with ASUU in the immediate because the academic, moral, social impact of the strike on the society is enormous.
Realizing the enormity of the challenges confronting the country at this time, host Governor Seriake Dixon urges Nigerians to continue in their prayers for the president.
To all Christians and all people of all faiths and religions in this country, the leaders of this country need prayers. Mr. President needs prayers from all of you, from all people of goodwill, now more than any other time.
The event was well attended by most leaders and members of the Anglican Communion in Nigeria.
The Joint Task Force says it has killed 10 members of the Boko Haram sect in Borno State, northeast of Nigeria. According to the JTF spokesman in the state, Colonel Sagir Musa, the incident follows the bombing of two of the group's camps at a place known as Mada on Tuesday. This sent the sect members fleeing the area. They were, however, pursued by soldiers on the Maiduguri-Damboa road, resulting in the killing of 10 of the insurgents after a gunfight. The JTF says 4 AK-47 rifles, 250 rounds of assorted ammunition and 10 motorcycles were recovered from them. The sack of 9 federal ministers yesterday has opened a debate about the intrigues that might have led to the ministers being relieved of their appointments. While many agree that it is the prerogative of the president to sack any minister at any time, some say it appears the decision was based on the performance of the ministers. But yet others disagree, saying if it is based on performance, then more ministers deserve to be sacked. Our correspondent Larry Lasisi has this report.
Following
the Minister of Information announcing the sack of 9 ministers, a move the presidency says is to bring a new lease of life to an administration. But many Nigerians are wondering if the ministers were not removed for political reasons.
the specific people who did not perform, in quotes. The coincidence with the split within the PDP is just incredible. That the states that have their governors in the group that is splitting away from the main PDP seem to be the ones also having their candidates as ministers removed.
There are all kinds of insinuations whether these were not the fallouts of the crisis, particularly if you consider the timing and all the negotiations that have been ongoing.
If the president goes to bed late, they will say because of the political crisis. He wakes up early, they will say because of the political crisis. Why? Changing of the ministers is not, it has nothing to do with the crisis in the party. It is just one of the things, the step the president must take.
For goodness sake, change is inevitable. And one thing people have even accused the president of is not changing his ministers or his cabinet regularly. As President Olusegun Obasanjo, of course, you know, during his tenure, changes were often done.
Why is he now suddenly letting 9 go? Does it mean that almost half his cabinet performed badly? Is he changing his position on that? I don't think that it has anything to do with performance, honestly.
Others feel the president should have been more thorough, saying more ministers deserve to go.
If it's generally about improving service delivery to the people, a whole lot more ministers needed to be relieved of their positions, not just the 9 ministers that have been asked to go.
When the Minister of Planning was told to go, I also thought that the Minister of Finance could also be told to go. And also looking back at the Minister of Petroleum, she had not done so well. Her performance is below par. So why did you leave her to still remain the Minister of Petroleum Resources?
But how will this change affect the ministries and the sectors?
They have permanent secretaries who, you know, if you check within the civil service, they are the chief accounting officers of the ministries, and I'm sure they can be able to do something because they are career civil servants, while the ministers are political appointees. So the PAMSEC virtually knows better than the ministers.
One of those who spoke says it will certainly help if a clear criteria can be set and used to assess the performance of 7 ministers. It will certainly help in reducing the debate when they leave office. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.